do not forget how to market without Google, without everything else like that. If you forget how to do that, then you just, really fall into spending more and more money on Google LSAs and pay-per-click. Learn how to develop and don't forget how to develop business. In my experience, some of the best and fastest growing franchisees have a personality. They go out there and talk to it. They do the BNI groups. It's just like they get out there and they work it on the grassroots piece.
Mark your calendars right now, October 27th through the 30th.
Service World Expo is back in Vegas for its 10th anniversary, and we're going big.
The biggest expo hall in the industry, 2,000 contractors. We're talking live podcast recordings all week long with the industry's top contractors.
And when you get to Vegas, come find us at booth 2403.
We're dropping an AI automation keynotes that will change how you run your operations. Save $100 by using our code SPM100.
You and I are doing a keynote on AI and automation. Contractors absolutely need to hear this stuff. This isn't just another trade show.
It's where contracting businesses transform.
We're not just attending.
We're taking over the podcast stage.
Don't miss the 10th anniversary. We'll see you in Vegas.
Today's episode is powered by Xero Systems.
Xero is all about removing the clutter and unnecessary touch points to run your home service business profitably.
They use AI dispatching to get the right tech to the right call automatically and job time efficiency to ensure your entire team runs like a profit-generating machine.
Get a tech upgrade for your business at get.xero.tech/service-business-mastery.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You're listening to or watching Service Business Mastery Podcast, and Josh is my co-host, and he's not here, not yet anyways. He'll be joining us a little later. I'm excited to have Adam on the show, and we're going to talk authority brands. And I'm really excited to talk with Adam because I've always had just random questions about authority brands. And I've asked people at trade shows. I don't think it was you, Adam, that I ran into at a trade show, but there was somebody at one of the trade shows. This was after the booths are being put up and everything. And we just sat there. We chatted for a little while there. I always have just lingering questions on how it works and the kind of the minutia of when you're franchising, and do I lose everything? Do I lose rights to stuff? Do I have to just tons of questions. So today we're going to pick Adam's brain. We're going to talk about branding and how you can grow and how to grow through a franchising and doing it the right way. With that being said, welcome to the show, Adam.
Hi, Tersh. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Give us a little bit of background on you and what you do with Authority Brands.
Talking all things franchising, how did I get into franchising? Long story short, the show Undercover Boss, which is a very franchise friendly, was filming a brand called Philly Pretzel Factory. And one of the things that they realized is I need a marketing person. I was the person that was hired as a result of that.
Oh, that's cool.
For that brand. I was there for probably a good 7 years,
Okay.
Working and growing that brand. Then I moved on to another family of brands called WOWorks, which is restaurant based. It's more of a platform company. And then about 18 months ago, I moved over to Authority Brands. Wasn't me that I remember talking to, but I talked to a lot of people. But there are a lot of nice people that talk and will take any time to talk and teach and learn and just, it's good people surrounded by good people.
Yeah, I had no idea that Authority Brands had so much under the umbrella. When you go to authoritybrands.com and click on our brands, it's how many of them are there? There's a ton of them there.
There is a ton. There's 15 brands and it's all in the home services field from different things, right? We have the onus, and the first one is the Cleaning Authority, which is where the name stemmed from. That was the very first one. Authority Brands started with the Cleaning Authority. And then have a lot of different sectors, but everything based around home services. My role here is I'm the Senior Director of Marketing for what we call the trades brands, which is 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, and Mr. Sparky.
That's really cool. Actually, I've seen Junk Luggers is on there. I have a friend of mine who had Junk Luggers franchise here in Savannah. So tell us a little bit about franchising in general. If I'm a business owner and I'm thinking about maybe I need to partner up with someone else to help grow me. Is franchising a good option to do?
A lot of people say it is, right? When you take a step back and get into why do people franchise? There's a franchise psychologist, Greg Nathan, breaks it down into three things. It's the power of the operations manual, right? Like, hey, they're going to teach me how to do it. The other option is unit level economics. And this is for the financial investor. If I invest this, I'll get this back. And then the last main factor is the power of the brand and the power of the marketing that's out there, seeing the opportunity to grow it within their footprint. But it's really a combination of all three, is my opinion of the answer. But a lot of times people can identify really strongly with one, two, or all three of them.
So whenever you're doing that, do you have the ability to work with other franchise owners or franchisees or?
Right at the current time right now, it's franchise owners. Several years ago, it was franchisees, Zors and Z's like 10 years ago. So right now it's franchise operators.
Got it. So like, do you have the ability to bounce ideas off of each other, or are you still pretty much your own like operator?
Yeah, let's get into that, right? So there's a couple of different methodologies. The answer is yes and no, unfortunately. So it's not like a clean answer. But when you get into franchise marketing, break it down this way, right? You put a visual in your head. Tier 1 marketing, tier 2 marketing, tier 3 marketing. Tier 1 marketing, best example I can use off the top of my head is Built Ford Tough. How many of us have seen those commercials? They're talking all about quality. They're not talking about price. They're not talking about a dealership. It's just selling the quality. That's tier 1 advertising. And then a lot of brands, the brand emerges and gets to be able to support that feature. And that's what franchisees will pay into a brand fund for the operational pieces of that, the website, the support, the local pieces, but then also, as much as possible into Built Ford Tough.
Yeah.
But then with the franchisee, where they have a lot of freedom because they're the ones that are going to know the market very, very uniquely and be able to understand it and really get hyper-focused. And we're here for support, guidance along the way, is where you'll have much more flexibility. And that's tier 3, the way my brain works and has it organized. And it's been a prominent thing through franchising. So like a tier 3 marketing or local marketing is where the franchise operator has the most flexibility to be able to do it. They'll get to pick and choose to how much they want to spend on LSAs, Google pay-per-click, Yelp, Bing, whatever.
The ability to do that themselves.
Yeah. We'll have a good playbook for them, but it's going to be more of their ability. And then that's where they collaborate. And this is where you get to involve your local passions in between there, whether it be with a cause or some kind of charity that's really close to your heart, that's really localized between there to really partner with that and really get the essence of get your name. Now, I think where you're going with the question is partnering with other franchisees. That's what I would refer to as a tier 2 partnership. And that's where franchisees that might live in the same designated area. I'll use Philadelphia, for example, 8 major counties, and it's 2 or 3 hours this way. So you can get a lot of franchisees to go together. And let's say they want to buy radio or television. It's a very cost-effective way to do that. And the way I've always break that down into like a car dealer mentality. Again, I'm from Philly, so it's easy for me to recite Philly commercials. Hey, come visit your local Philadelphia area Honda Dealer Association for a $19.99 oil change. Are they making money on a $19.99 oil change? Probably not much, right? If any. But what they're getting is your information. They're getting that first touch. They're getting that experience, to you and from you, and you're able to get in a database. And how cheap is it to send an email or a text? Just a postcard, because you've already had that experience with them. And that's how they'll do it but they'll also get the branding aspects of it as well. But the ownership of the contact in today's world is key.
You bring up a good point there. Like, how does it work with multiple franchisees in the same area? Or is there, like, how does that even work? Like having that?
It all depends on what industry it's in. In restaurants, believe it or not, the closer the better, because people aren't going to pass 3, 4, 5 restaurants to get to yours, right? If you're in a fast casual space. So believe it or not, the closer you are, the better you are. Services, it's more by zip codes you're servicing and where you'll get to, because you're going to the consumer. Great example of that is think how many McDonald's are in every major metropolitan area. Probably not owned by the franchisee, but they're going to, coordinate and run advertising appropriately.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Whenever it comes to like growth wise, have you seen a situation to where two franchises were kind of close to each other and one or both of them started growing so much that they kind of started getting close to each other's borders? It becomes like a border battle between franchise owners.
Well, I mean, there's ways we can control that through the corporate site as well as, through other digital assets. And what I mean by that is just making sure that everybody's staying within, their assigned box, because they're buying the territory, from the franchisor, the brand in between there. So if you go to onehourheatingandair.com and enter in a zip code, you'll get one, it'll direct you to one person.
Gotcha.
And most of the time, it's usually just conversations of like, hey, remember you have this. So we'll have a little bit of guidance isn't too much of a problem with existing franchisees once they get set up.
Something that could be like a potential risk for someone who's becoming a franchisee. Is there some sort of morality clause inside of whenever you become a franchise owner or whatever, where like if you do something wrong and it gives you a bad name, like potentially they could assume that all 1 hours do this?
The answer, we could talk more about that offline, but but I'll answer it this way. And I'll use, I guess, was it In-N-Out Burgers? Does anybody remember the name of the franchisee the incident happened at? With the salmonella, I think is what it was. I'm going from memory. So
Yeah.
But but they remember the brand. Right?
Exactly. And so that you have to like protect the brand. I guess that would be a call. I mean, that would be a concern, is that like, you got to make sure that everybody's acting right, and they're following the rules, and you don't have one franchise that's damaging all the rest of them out there.
Franchising is about the we and the collective we in it together, right? So it's, if it's, you want to be a bunch of individuals, it's not going to be as harmonious as it is when everybody works together. When you get there's nothing more powerful than when you get a group of people working together towards the same vision, same goals and things like that. That's what's the most powerful thing in business as well as franchising is what it's about.
Now, whenever you get into being a franchise owner, can you still be part of best practice groups, or how does that even work?
Yeah, most franchisees will have some kind of leadership or feedback loop, as far as a council. Sometimes it goes from an engagement of the franchise partner, but it's more of like, you want to listen and learn and collaborate together. I would say almost all franchisees will welcome that. Some people might be a little bit more geared towards marketing. Some people like equipment. Some people might like operations. And most franchisees will not allow structured partnership that's out there, right?
Do y'all have something built in to authority brands where you kind of like bounce ideas off each other for best practice?
Yes, of course. Every brand has, some kind of franchisee group, we'll call it, always called different things. Some are marketing, some are leadership, some are other things. But one of the things about like authority brands in particular versus a platform holding company will go through and it'll morph everybody down into like one piece, which is great and efficient. Really you do want to try to get that way. But authority brands recognizes, I think, that every single brand has unique differences, but still try to collaborate and work it all together for that.
Now, what's the difference in the, like having a parent company and what's the platform?
A platform holding company is also a parent company. But the difference is it's just when they acquire a brand or bring a brand on, we're going to change everything in that brand. So everybody uses the same systems and elements like that.
Like how would a parent
company will use a little bit more of a hybrid approach where it's just like, okay, this is working, this one's better, but it's not like, hey, day one, everybody switches over. It's probably the biggest example that I've seen in my life.
Is that allowed inside of authority brands to have like the parent company style?
We'll operate, like I run 3 different brands, a lot of similarities, but unique differences, right? So one of them is 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, very, very seasonal. And it's just, so like some of the ebbs and flows are going to be a little bit different. Whereas Benjamin Franklin Plumbing and Mr. Sparky still have some spikes, but it's not as, okay. It's not like a heartbeat. on
It's 110 degrees out, so
yeah,
we're going to be slammed with air
without a
conditioning
doubt,
calls. Yeah.
without a doubt.
Does anybody own, or is there like any group that owns all three of them?
Good number. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head of tri-branded franchisee where they might have a location just 123 Main Street, and it could be they'll have a Mr. Sparky franchise, a Benjamin Franklin plumbing franchise, and a 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning franchise.
What's the benefit of going franchise versus trying to, just building your own brand? And with that being said, do you ever have someone come under the umbrella who already has quote unquote a successful HVAC company, and they're doing like they have a good bit of market share, and they just still decide to come under like a 1 hour?
Yeah, some do. It'll be like an acquisition where somebody wants to maybe, part of their exit strategy for that, where they can see it. But the biggest difference, Tersh, is like you're starting off. Think about like baseball. We're in baseball season right now, so it's like we're able to, you're still able to start off on second or third base down the road. We already have the operational guide. We already have different marketing elements, assets created, trademarks, all those types of things already in place for use.
Like, because I know of a company in town. I'm in Savannah. I know of a company in town was a really rather old company comparative, and they are now part of a franchise. They're not a 1 hour, but they're part of a franchise. And I often question, like, I feel like you had a large customer base. Why would you now transition into a franchise? Because I feel like joining a franchise, part of that is because you need help with the marketing. You need help with growing your customer base and that type of things. Is that correct? Or
it could be, right? But it's like, not really. You got to think back about that individual person, the owner of that company, what's making them do it, right? Is it something in their life that wants that help? We talked about Greg Nathan earlier. Is it operations manual? Probably not, right? It's probably more buying power that you can get from it, as well as other support, marketing, and things like that. But, also to think about it, like, is it part of their exit strategy? Was it a sale? In your example that you said, was it like, hey, I'm ready to retire. I just want to sell it. And XYZ franchise companies like, we'll buy it.
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, UpFrog.
UpFrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Learn more at upfrog.io. I want to give a huge shout out to Marcus Storm for sponsoring today's episode.
You've heard of Google ads, Facebook ads, and SEO, but did you know that there's an entire ecosystem, like 80% of the internet, that ads can be served on that you barely heard about?
That's where Marcus Storm operates.
They leverage data science and AI to build customer profiles for your ideal customers and get your ads in front of prospects before they are ready to hire a pro, planting your brand in their minds early and often.
To chat with a team about how they can help you grow your business, visit marcusstorm.ai.
If you're a contractor with multiple CSRs, check out this Service Business Mastery podcast partner, Lace.ai. Lace uses cutting-edge AI to analyze your phone calls, uncover lost revenue opportunities, and empower your CSRs to convert more leads. You can significantly increase revenue without spending extra on marketing or hiring by using Lace.ai to boost your conversion rates. For the first time, you can gain deep insights into customer needs at scale with minimal effort. Elevate your call center to achieve industry-leading booking rates and revenue. Visit www.lace.ai to book a demo today. Now back to the show. have anybody who actually joins the franchise in hopes that another franchisee would purchase their territory?
Not that I'm aware of. Or, I mean, I've seen it happen. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, that's not my entry
What's their
strategy.
Welcome to the show, Josh.
It's interesting you talk about franchises because Tersh and I present a lot, and this morning I had an opportunity from someone who used to be a client, and actually Tersh and I both know from our CEO Warrior days. He's in this local BNI group that was about 45, 50 minutes south of us, and you forget when you learn all these things and you level up as a business owner, or you have a franchise or a coaching group or whoever's helping you grow, you forget just how little a lot of business owners actually know about running a business. It was a very good reminder this morning. So that's where I was. I apologize for being late. I definitely didn't want to miss this episode, but I know this is a great topic. And I always wondered why, like in our area, when I started in the trades, there was like AirServe, and I saw them everywhere. And I'm like, what? Like some of these other, franchises and stuff. I didn't really know what I was looking at back in 2012, 2013. Why would somebody do that? Like they could go, because they can grow their business without the fees, but then they also don't get a lot of things. They start with, Dan Antonelli loves the white vans. They don't get a great brand. They don't get the presence that comes with that. I think there's a lot of stuff that's missing when you have to learn all those lessons.
How do you combat that argument? Or what's your rebuttal to someone who's like, no, we're like small and we don't want to pay fees to, grow?
Honestly, it's not relevant, right? Because it's not about us acquiring. It's not a brand is not going to go out and overly try to acquire other companies, right? Like, to mold into theirs, right? They're talking about 1 hour, for example. They're not going to like, hey, we'll do it. We're going to buy out your brand. That would be an individual franchisee would want to look into that. And then that's in between them. Everybody's going to be their own place. In the situation, I think, guys, I just want to turn it around, is it's more about the individual franchisee wanting to join a brand versus somebody that has a successful business and looking to grow, in between, or whatever their exit strategy may be.
Authority Brands perspective of trying to figure out which markets you guys want to try to get into or try to find someone. What does the process look like for that? Do you guys just map that out and try to go after those areas, or is it just kind of fall in your lap when people reach out to you guys?
And that's a different world. I work more in the consumer marketing side. I feel like the conversation went down heavily into development marketing, development piece of it. But we have a whole department called the franchise development. They'll do some research beforehand, figure out how many, households are in a certain area that somebody's looking at. And then also too, as Tersh and I were talking about earlier, about working together within an individual DMA. And it could be, hey, we have one extra spot in Northeast XYZ territory. Who do we know out there? Would anybody be interested to open up and start a franchise?
Pivoting, because the consumer marketing, so you mentioned consumer marketing, and Tersh and I talk a lot about AI and automation. He may have shared that before or not, but as far as, especially from where you sit, when you have all these brands, all these markets, all these things going on, as far as from a top level down, like what kind of things are you guys focused on as we move forward? Last half of 2025, GPT-5 from ChatGPT is supposed to be out in a month. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, a lot of technology tools, all that kind of stuff. Like, what are you guys looking at that maybe our listeners can like try to get some guidance on? Like, what should they be paying attention to when it comes to all this technology, all this stuff that's like, it's a ton of noise. What kind of things should they focus on? What kind of things are you guys focused on?
I'll start with this, and I give this advice to everybody. Do not forget how to market without Google, without everything else like that. If you forget how to do that, then you just, really fall into, I can spending more and more money on Google LSAs and pay-per-click. Learn how to develop, and don't forget how to develop business. In my experience, some of the best and fastest growing franchisees have a personality. They go out there and talk to it. They do the BNI groups, right? It's just like they get out there and they work it on the grassroots piece. They do a lot of good stuff. Now, that said, let's get into the nitty gritty as far as what's coming. My fear is, there's a lot of information. Hey, what's ChatGPT pulling from it? How's it going to do it? Where my brain is I'm thinking one step further. It's not about how can the business use this AI. which is a lot of different ways. And I'm sure it's probably been beat up on your show a lot of different ways too.
Sure.
How is the consumer going to use it? What happens when a consumer starts to go through and be like, hey, Gemini, book me a air conditioning service, please. Okay, tomorrow, 2:00. How are they picking that, right?
Yeah, you don't even have a consumer to business connection. It's just a personal assistant. There, I actually shared this morning. I haven't seen it in the trades yet, but Google Business Profile literally just had that like beta release for you can. I don't know exactly how it works because I haven't seen it in the wild yet, but like you can have their AI call a business to ask about pricing, availability, schedule, menu, and then that will, I'm assuming, consolidate the information and give you an email or something of what happened. And like you can do this and get pricing information from as many people as you want, which is scary because there's still a very big wall up in the home services space about putting pricing out there. It is a very, you might as well ask if someone's a Democrat or Republican at this point, because it's like 50-50 and people are very set in what they think or what they know. And it causes a lot of colorful discussion.
I don't even know where to start on that one. There's so many different ways to like break that down, right? Like
What's your thoughts on online pricing?
It's hard because you think about like an air conditioning unit or a plumber, you don't know where the leak's coming from. You don't know until I get there. And the range could be that. It could be this big. So it's really tough in home services. You're not buying, or the price. It's fixed cost of goods.
All the variables involved in it.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And until we can like really identify that piece, you're not going to be able to get pricing on the phone. But for my world, emergency services are the bigger ones, right? Your water's not working. How many people are you going to call and check, right?
Oh, right.
The conversation has to turn around a little bit in my part of the home services world, because it's more of like who can be there first.
Do you find that you can build some brand loyalty where people are willing to wait a little bit if you are busy?
Absolutely. I think some of the brand loyalists will to get in between there, right? Because they know they have an experience, they have that personal connection, they have trust in the brand. They will wait a day or a little bit. Listen, plumbing's going all over the place and it's like, pushing out, that's a different.
It's coming up inside the bathtub.
There will be.
I feel like plumbing people will not wait for a plumber.
I think we'll have more piece of it. But guys, don't forget emergency services, speed to lead.
I shared that as well this morning because I've seen some studies where like 78% of homeowners will do business with the first company that responds to them, which is sad that we even have to like have studies based on that and have to share that, because a lot of companies don't. They miss a lot of calls, a lot of form submissions. These leads come in and they go into like this black hole that exists. And because we're so busy putting out fires and dealing with employees and hiring new people and training people and all this kind of stuff, you forget like the core thing that's going to get you anywhere are those people inquiring about your business and fixing those leaks in that bucket, if you will.
I mean, it comes down to, I use the term last mile of marketing, first mile of operations. Is that call center, booking that lead, getting somebody to answer the call, making it happen and getting it all the way through. Last mile of marketing, first mile of operations.
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
It's business in general, right? I was reminded of that the BNI thing this morning, but so many businesses, some people are really good at marketing, some are good at sales, some are good at doing the thing, whatever the service or product is, but operating a business, because it requires so many different things to connect in a central place and to make sure it all works. And then you kind of recycle and repeat. When you have good service, get a review, promote that review, get new customer, and do the same thing over and over again. There's so many pieces to that. It's a really hard space. And we have these conversations a lot because with digital marketing, because we track all that stuff and we have to. because we want to get more, like we want their money to go further.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people think marketers, they just tell me to spend more. It's like, well, it's because we have to, because you need more leads, because we're not closing the ones or selling the ones or booking the ones that are in your database now.
Yeah.
So you need more. And it's just, it's a vicious cycle, and it gets more and more expensive every year. Local service ads, since it started to now, is 4, 5, 6 times as expensive as it was in 2017, 18, 19.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, and everything else gone too. And it's harder and harder to do. And
you're doing brand searches too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On LSA, you're competing against yourself.
I'm assuming you guys get a lot of, especially with like Ben Franklin, those different brands, like you get a lot of brand searches. Like people actually specifically look for you versus look for the competition. And of course, you guys got to pay, because now you got to protect your brand name, because other people are probably bidding on your brand name.
It's always a market by market piece, right? Like you got to just watch and see, you know, watch inside Google Search Console, see if somebody's outbidding you. I wouldn't just come in and start buying your name, especially a unique name like that. I would just be like, hey, you have to start watching it, because am I going to spend money to block somebody else, or am I going to try to develop it on my own? And those are questions that, you know, we can help franchisees work through and look at each one individually of how that goes. So it's always a case by case basis. But in general, I would say it's always a debate. Do you buy your brand name or do you not buy your brand name? I think sometimes even Benjamin Franklin, you know, just use that. How many of those searches bounce so fast because it's a kid doing a term paper on Benjamin Franklin, right?
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah.
You know, you gotta just think everything through. And then but if that might stop somebody from like looking at individual buying brand names outside of it. But pay-per-click and LSAs are two totally different things. LSAs are great for the emergency sector as we go through there. And then, you know, pay-per-click, you can really target in on what people are looking for and what their intent is.
You mentioned on the AI side that with like how consumers are behaving with that. Are you guys noticing anything? You know, because I know, like, especially with AI search, it's starting to become more of a thing, more of a topic, everyone wants to know how to rank on that, just like they wanted to rank on Google. And what are you guys seeing as far as the consumer side and how they're interacting, or how that's affecting any of your locations?
AI search results and keywords that trigger AI search results are going through the roof, you know, for us. We'll get into too many specifics, but they're going really, you know, that's what's generating that and how that comes through. My advice to everybody is look at the SERP, you know, and see how it's going to do, and break down each section of it. And then each section that Google has it listed as is a unique strategy that you have to look through. And that would be like some general marketing advice and, you know, topics and conversations to go through.
Do you feel like local pages make a difference there?
Yes. Like little microsites of like, you know, brand.com/location, absolutely really doing well. Other geo pages will do really well. What I don't think does well is on a brand, you know, that comes through, that the local service pages on a website. On Google Business Profile, I think they're great as you go through that.
Actually, it's a lot more difficult now, but the thing I like is if we do research for a client in a market, we can find the sources of the information that are being fed and why, you know, try to reverse engineer. Like Google's been a black hole since its inception. Like everyone's like, oh, this is what's working. No, this is what's working. And it was just this constant like tug of war of like, you should do this. Now you gotta try this hack and this thing, because nobody really knew. And at least with AI and some of the stuff that being sourced, these websites being sourced, you can at least start to like try to understand of like, okay, they're pulling from here. Let me look at these sites and start like trying to reverse engineer what they're doing. Now, obviously this takes time, but there are things yourself, any business owner listening to this, or manager or marketing manager, Adam said, when he says, look at the SERP, that's a search engine result page, just type something in a search that you think someone might search in your area. Just start paying attention to the different sources and the links. And like, it's crazy because I know a lot of the home service industry does not like the BBB. And because, you know, a lot of the markets change and stuff. I've seen multiple times when I do research a market that the reason they chose the top 2 or 3 people on ChatGPT was because they were BBB accredited. And that's starting to show up. Reddit is starting to become a much more popular thing it's been popular on Google for a little while now, but people's comments of your brand in Reddit are becoming a much more important piece. That stuff's actually getting pulled in and be like, oh, I picked them because so-and-so said they did a great job or whatever. And they pulled like the thread.
So you're saying that they need to be active on Reddit?
I feel like we need to be active everywhere.
That's the hard part.
It's like the days of just Google, and Adam, stop me if like I think you were really aligned with this when you mentioned building your brand and market awareness and stuff. But the days of I just got to get my Google stuff right, I'm going to blow up and I'm going to be great are over. That's my opinion. I mean, it's a part of the mix. It's an important part, but it is not.
You almost have to hire a CMO just to handle all of this stuff.
Tersh, as you said, like that's the reason you join a brand, right? Power of the brand, power of the marketing. For stuff like that you can have people like really go deep into it and really deep into it, for it. I mean, Josh, I got a thing for you just as a casual conversation. What is your definition of Google's mission statement?
I think they're trying to help with get like the best results in front of somebody, because if they get the best results and they stay on the top of the game, they can serve more ads.
My interpretation of it, right? This top level, Google is trying to organize the internet. When you think about it, right? And they use terms like degraded signals. So you start getting clean signals that come through it. It's just like you start getting degraded or not clear signals. They start to trust you less. You get nice clean signals on a lot of different things. They trust you more, that really come through it. So I think those are some of the ways, at least the way my brain works is like, okay, and everybody I talk to, and we talk about this constantly, try to organize the internet. You make more money by serving ads. Now here's something else that I would always say that everybody across the industry, when you're Googling something, whose customer are you? What does Google want is the same thing any business owner wants, right? Google wants to give that person Googling, have the most confidence that what they're Googling, you're the right result for. That you're going to be the best plumber, the best electrician, the best HVAC person that's out there, best widget anybody that's out there, right? So they want to make sure that it's a good match, and it comes down to how well are you organized across the internet, right? Everybody talks about NAP, name, address, phone. There's a lot more than that you can put into it inside your Google business profile, but reviews and review velocity, stuff we read about and talk about every day. That's what, in my opinion, what gives Google comfort and trust that, hey, I'm going to put this guy first, that they're going to get a 5-star review. I always look at it and try to think about it and get people to really start thinking about it.
I mean, think about it. Like a lot of times people go to search to Google, they won't necessarily put in the word best. Like we would talk that way in a conversation like, hey, Adam, what's the best restaurant you've been to, right? Because we talk it like in a conversation. But now as we start getting used to having conversations with an AI chatbot, the longer, like it optimizing for a very specific keyword is a lot more difficult, because now we have conversations, not just keywords. And so optimizing for those are going to be a whole different ball of wax moving forward. I've seen some stuff, and of course it's all theory, but actually some of it's come from people asking ChatGPT specifically, like, what percentage weight do you give for all of these different things? And of course, I don't, who knows if it's actually the real information. It's probably not. But reputation has become, and brand mentions and things about building a brand, like you've talked about, where you're building something that instead of going and being Google's customer, they go and they are Ben Franklin's customer or Mr. Sparky's customer instead. And there's so many things we can do to impact that without having to pay for a lot.
There's a guerrilla marketing.
Make sure that customer knows you are the person to call back next time. So they don't go to Google. They just go, hey, oh, no, there's a phone number. I'll just call them. Or they have a QR code to go to the website and chat with you or whatever.
Guerrilla marketing, local marketing is a lost art. And I mean that outside of Google, right? And getting outside of that.
Good, because Google was an easy button for a lot of people. Like, oh, if I'm ranking on Google, I don't have to do any work. It's just an easy button.
But also, I put that on COVID too, right? Since we're just kind of chatting, COVID kept everybody in, like not doing it, didn't teach that new generation. I don't know if you guys probably remember people like, oh, nightclub, hey, go here, go there, go, and passing out flyers. And
oh yeah,
has that personality anymore to be able to do that. And then some of it is phone related. Let's, call that one honest, but people forgot how to self-promote. What I mean by that is like a business. I'm not talking like being an influencer on TikTok. I'm talking about like handing out flyers, door hangers, basic things like that, just a lost art.
I used to be in BNI. I know Tersh has been a president of his BNI chapter and Savannah and stuff. So like you kind of forget that stuff, but you have that conversation a lot. Like even if you're not in the BNI and you're a plumber, go find a roofer, a landscaper, an HVAC company, electrician, go find, like they all have the same customers.
Partnership.
Yeah.
You can make your own referral network, if you will. I mean, BNI is much more organized and you can learn a lot more through there, but you don't necessarily, like, let's say you can't get into a chapter that you want to get into because some places you can't. Create your own. There's other people that want referrals. You all want the same business. The same customers that hire a landscaper are probably going to hire an HVAC company to come out. Take it into your own hands. That would be my advice. I mean, obviously it's against, like, we get paid to help people rank on Google. We do the same thing. Tersh and I put out treasure trove of content.
Yep.
So that way people, when they open their phone, they think of Service Business Mastery. They think of Trade Automation Pros. And it's by design. Like, we do that on purpose, not to bug you, but to give you as much value and free education and information and have, great guests like yourself on here so we can all spread the word. And that way people, they think of us, they think, oh, these guys have really helped me. And they didn't ask for anything in return. That builds our brand and people start talking about it. And you can do the same thing locally. You don't have to be a podcast or a net marketing. You can do all of this locally too and give away free value and education and just put it out there. It will definitely help you.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's been nice to just give back. I know Tersh got really deep in franchising curiosity early on in this call, but
Had anybody to sit here and I didn't have anybody cornered.
You can thank your buddy Rick Brown for cornering you because he's the one that pushed to get you on here. And I'm glad we did. I'm sorry I was late. I still think we had, conversation obviously probably bounced a little bit, but there's a lot of good stuff here.
Conversation. We went all the way around, but I'd have it no other way. And hopefully people got value from it. And, again, thanks guys for having me on.
That's our pleasure.
I'm just glad we made it all the way around.
You're right.
Sometimes we get stuck.
I don't think with this group we'd be stuck much, right? I think we'll find things to talk about and, keep going and keep going and keep going for sure.
Absolutely. Adam, it's a pleasure chatting with you. If anybody has any questions, authoritybrands.com. There's a ton of information there. Until we talk again next time, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week. Thank you again, Adam.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.